Good morning! Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Sunny day outside, which is great to see it. Not that warm yet. It's coming. It's coming. Welcome. Good morning. Today we have another special lecture. Right? This month we are talking about health and spirituality. Lots of discussions around mental health and a great lecture today. So stay tuned. But before we get into the lecture, I would like to start our meeting with a reading from the book Our Daily Bread from Chico Xavier and Emmanuel, just to start, connecting and bring ourselves together, all here on the same vibrations. And then I will ask Tiago to do our initial prayer, and then I'll pass the podium to Teresa for her lecture. And welcome those who are watching us through the internet. And you can participate with questions or comments as well. And the lesson for today is the lesson 880, The No and the Struggle. And it's from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 37. And it's actually something that Jesus said. And he said, simply let your yes be yes and your no be no. For those who are parents, this is something extremely important, right? Simply let your yes be yes and no be no. But also applies for non-parents, because we often every day we have to be expressing our opinions to everybody around us, right? And even to ourselves. And sometimes we are a bit wish-washy on our expressions, and we say yes to someone and no to someone else, or depending on the day we say yes here and no there, right? Love according to the lessons of the gospel, but do not allow your love to become a shackle, impeding your march toward the superior life. Be of assistance to whoever needs your cooperation. Meanwhile, do not allow your assistance to foster disturbances and vices in another's path. Enthusiastically assist anyone who requests a favor of you. However, do not yield to frivolity or foolishness. Open wide the doors of well-being to those surrounding you, but do not overlook the education of your companions to true happiness. Cultivate graciousness and cordiality. However, be loyal and sincere in your attitudes. Saying yes can be very agreeable in all situations. Notwithstanding, saying no in determined areas of human struggle is more constructive. Trying to satisfy all the requirements of the path is to waste time and sometimes life itself. Just as yes should be pronounced without flattery or adulation, the no should be pronounced without harshness. In some instances, it is necessary to contradict so that the legitimate assistance is not lost. It is important, however, to recognize that the negative wholesome response is never a disturbance. What is disturbing is the blunt tone in which it is pronounced. Manners, for the most part, speak further than words. Simply let your yes be yes and your no be no, recommends the gospel. In order to agree or to reject, no one is obliged to be of honey or of bile. It will suffice to remember that Jesus is the Master and the Lord not only by what he does, but also by what he does not do. Very interesting. Thiago?
My brothers and my sisters, let's take that moment to close our eyes and elevate our thoughts and our feelings to Most High, praying in gratitude for God, our Father and Creator, who has given us life. Thanking Jesus for his living example and his steps on our earth in order to help us to walk. We pray in gratitude for the inspiration, for the advice, for the yeses and the nos from our spiritual guides that from the spiritual world assist us every day. We pray in gratitude for the opportunity to be together in order to enlighten ourselves, in order to share our doubts and our knowledge, in order to grow together as spirits. And we pray that with humbleness we ask for your protection and for your assistance in order to comprehend the lecture so important today. And we ask as well that our sister Teresa may be as well assisted in her lecture. Jesus, our Master, be with us today and always. So be it.
Hello everyone. So this month is the month that we're talking about mental health, and today I'm going to be talking about the power of thought. Basically, I'm sorry, changing the changing. It's not changing. Yeah. Talk to mine. So basically, I based my lecture on those 3 books. And can you just come back one, please?
Maybe not. Well, maybe not.
Well,
Let's see what's going on there. I think it's the Lentium. New processor. Yeah, Teresa, you can continue.
Okay.
Just,
well, so basically I was based in 3 books. So the book Nosso Lar, that a lot of you may have either read the book or even watched the movie. I based on the Gospel according to Spiritism and on this book, The Hidden Messages in the Water by Dr. Masaru Emoto. And I'm very thankful actually to be able to be here today, because the way those books were presented to me, and I'm saying presented to me because I do not believe in coincidence, and we know in the Spiritism that coincidences do not exist. This book first came to my hand, and after I read this book, being a spiritist for so many years, I was absolutely so happy, and I wanted to share this. By the time I finished reading this book, I really wanted to talk about it. Like, I wanted to do a lecture. And then, not by coincidence, the next book that I decided to read was Nosso Lar. And then there's a lot of things on Nosso Lar that completely meshed with this book. So by the time I finished reading Nosso Lar, now I really wanted to do a lecture about it. And at the time, I started to come to the studies of the Gospel on Wednesdays here on TSS. And as we're reading one of the first chapters of the Gospel, I read some paragraphs that completely, those 2 books, and then I had to do a lecture. So then when Marcio invited me and said, do you want to start doing lectures? I said, yes, but can I choose the theme? 'Cause I want to do, but only if I can choose the theme. So I'm very thankful that I'm actually able to be here today and talk about the subject. Okay, so I'm going to start with No Solar, which unfortunately still don't have the pictures in there. But for the people who read the book or saw the movie, and for the people who saw the movie, I really encourage you to read the book, because the book's so much more grandiose than the movie, and usually books are always better than the movies anyways. But for the ones who know the story starts with André Luiz discarnated. He's in the UMBRAL, so he's not in a nice place, right? He's in a place that's dark, it's foggy, with a lot of negativity around him. At this point, he is aware he's discarnated, so it's not like he's lost and doesn't know that he died. He knows he died. He has no idea how long he has been in this place, but he knows he's dead. And he actually even knows, he remembers dying. Like, he remembers he's suffering in the hospital against an illness, and he remembers dying, right? But he just doesn't know how long he's in the UMBRAL. The UMBRAL, as we know, is this extremely negative place with a lot of negative energy around it, and a lot of I don't like to say negative spirits. I just like to say spirits that are not evolved, right? And all those spirits, they are around him and they're poking him. They are constantly talking to him and saying stuff to him, and that's really draining his energy. He's already feeling bad because he's still feeling in his perispirit. He's still feeling all the pains and everything from his illness. From when he discarnated, and on top of that, there's everything around him that's really making that place unbearable for him. But for all the things that those spirits are telling, because they call him criminal, they call him wretch, they call him suicide, and that really bothers him, to the point that he says, you know what, yeah, everything around here is awful, but what really bothers me is that I'm being called a suicide. Because it says, I'm not a suicide. Say, I'm a wretch? Yes, I'll take that one. Fine, I'm a wretch. You know, I do remember my life. I remember that I got all the benefits that life could offer. My parents are very generous. I got my doctorate degree with no problem at all. André Luiz was a doctor when he was incarnated. You remember, he had no problem. It was easy to get his degree. So he had all the benefits that life could offer, and he was conscious that he didn't offer anything in exchange. So he's aware he was a selfish man. So yeah, you want to call me a wretch, that's okay, but do not call me a suicide. That's really bugging him. Instead of everything that I have to handle here is those spirits calling me a suicide. This is because this is wrong. That's completely wrong information, right? So eventually he stays a long time in the UMBRAL, and this starts to warn him out, to the point that gets to a point he has absolutely no more energy. He cannot stand the place anymore. And that's the point when he finally puts his hands together and he starts to pray. And he prays and he asks for God to forgive him and to help him. And he's there with his hands together and crying and praying and praying. And he says also that he has no idea for how long he stayed in that situation, crying and praying and asking for help. But probably long enough that at some point he thinks that God may have forgot him. Or maybe whatever he did could not be forgiven. So he would stay in that place forever. That point is the point when Clarencio, I elevated spirit from No Solar, which we know No Solar is a transitory, so just go back there, yes. So at this point, Clarencio shows to him at UMBRAL and let him know that God does not forget any of his sons and that he's there to help him. So he's then taken to No Solar. If you could put the next one, it's possible. Actually, one before. No, that one, sorry, yes. So then he's taking to, I think the picture is just taking long to download. But anyways, he's taking to No Solar. And No Solar, he's taking to the Ministry of Regeneration. So No Solar is, I'm not going to talk a lot about No Solar, but he's pretty much divided in 6 ministries, and he's taken to the Ministry of Regeneration. The Ministry of Regeneration is the place where people go to, if they're newcomers, but they are sick, if they need to recover their energies before they can actually leave at Nosso Lar. That's where they go. So it's like a hospital, and it's saying that's the place where they prepare people to reincarnate. So all the reincarnation process is actually prepared for those spirits to come back again. So he is at the hospital at Nosso Lar. He's getting all the assistance that he needs. And then eventually at some point, he is brought a doctor to see him. They don't call him a doctor, they just call him Brother Enrique de Luna. Brother Enrique de Luna is a medical assistant at Nosso Lar who comes and really observes him. Assesses him, he looks at the problem and looks at the problem. And then finally, the first thing that he tells to André Luiz is, it's a pity that you have come to me here by the way of suicide. There we go again. Here's being called the suicide again, and he goes, you know what? His action there, he says that he felt a surge of revolt inside of him, because he said he remembered all those spirits at UMBRAL call him a suicide, and now here he's being called a suicide again. Then he goes, says, you know what? I'm sorry. I think there's some misunderstanding here. There's a mistake in here. I didn't die of suicide. Like, I remember very, very well the way I died. I remember my last 40 days in the hospital fighting against the illness, fighting for my life. He said, I was taken against my wish, away from my life and away from my family. I didn't want to die. So I didn't commit suicide. There's like something is wrong here. You guys have the wrong information. And at that point,
because if you need to change, you can
change it, right?
Should work now.
Okay. Yeah. So at that point, Enrique de Luna tells him, no, yes, you did, he said. And you know what? Let's analyze just your illness, what killed you here, said. So basically, you had, you contract syphilis because of your indiscretions, right? And he said to him, your syphilis turned into cancerous cells, and those cancer cells spread around and created an occlusion on your intestines, on your GI, on your gastric intestinal system, right? And that's, with the spread of the cancer, that's how you passed away, right? Because, however, he tells him something very interesting. He said, the disease might not have assumed such grave proportions if your mental attitudes had been based on principles of moderation and fraternity. So basically, if he was someone who, in general, was not selfish, someone who was generous, someone who cared good mental thoughts in general, because none of us is perfect, he wasn't perfect either. Yeah, maybe he would have had his indiscretions there. He would have had the syphilis, but there was cure already for syphilis at that time. This wouldn't have become a cancer. So his mental state, he lived his life in such a selfish way, with so much darkness inside of him, that he transformed a illness, a disease. Actually, he transformed a disease in a terminal illness with his mental state. And he even goes further. He says the spiritual organism contains an inner complete story of how we act while in the world. So what's the spiritual organism? It's our spirit. It's our mind. So whatever we had done, and actually I'm going to say when we incarnated, the truth is whatever we had done for incarnated, discarnated, it's all imprinted in our spirit, good or bad. And we bring that out as our thoughts. So at this moment, André Luiz stops and he thinks and realizes, you know what? He is right. And he's extremely ashamed of himself because he realized he wasted his life. And he even says, during my own life, I had managed to wear many masks, tailoring to the situation at hand. Moreover, I had never imagined that at some other time I would be asked to account for those seemingly ordinary episodes, which I usually consider as unimportant incidents. Until now, I had always conceived of human wrongs according to the precepts of criminology, and every incident outside the criminal code was related to natural phenomena. So basically what he thought is that if I keep the mask, that's what's important. So as far as for society, I look good, right? That's what it counts on. What goes in my mind, it doesn't matter, right? So if I come here and say, hey, Thiago, how you doing? Look, oh, it looks amazing today. It's so great, you know? I'm being nice with him, right? But in my mind, it's like, oh my gosh, he's so annoying. I can't stand this guy, you know what? If I could do something for him not to be here, I would. He thought that his thoughts wouldn't mind. It's important that in front of everybody else, I'm being nice to Thiago. So he thought that what we count was the mask. And it's actually the way around. It's what's behind the mask that we're going to be accounted for. He never thought. He thought there was a natural process. We all put masks. We all look good in society. What's behind is just natural process, like it doesn't matter, right? And it's not the way it is. So at this moment, he realized that he wasted his life, and he realized that the diagnosis of suicide is actually correct. So from this moment on, André Luiz embarks in a process of he wants to learn everything. And that's the beauty, right? It's the beauty that, yeah, we can always make the change and choose the right path at any moment. And that's what he did at this moment. He realized, you know what? I did everything wrong. Now I want to do everything right. How it happens, how it works. So he starts a huge process of studying and learning. And he starts by learning what's Nosso, how Nosso works. Like, what is this place where everything's so beautiful, where everybody is so helpful, right? So he partners up with Lysias. Lysias is one of the workers at Nosso, and Lysias starts to explain him how Nosso works, what each ministry is responsible for, and he starts to show him around. And one of the places that he takes him to is to the Forest of Waters. Those are just two illustrations that people did based on how he describes the Forest of Water in the book. I personally, when I read the book, I think this one is more like what he described. Just my personal opinion. That's how that was my vision of the Forest of Waters. And when he's there, Lysias starts to tell him about the importance of water. The water is so important at Nosso that he says that the water is essential for almost everything in our settlement, transitional settlement, because that's what Nosso is a transitional settlement between Earth and the higher worlds or happier worlds. Okay, so that's how important water is for them. The good spirits around here to transmit good fluids to us. We know that the water that we drink at the end, it's fluidified with good fluids, with the positive, right? And why they use the water? Because it's the most powerful. The easiest one to find around us, right? It's easy, it's cheap. Should at least, right? And very important, okay? And that takes me to the second book. I actually read this one first, and then I went to Nosso, but today I decided to go around, okay? So The Hidden Messages in the Water, it's a book by Dr. Masaru Emoto. Dr. Masaru Emoto is a Japanese doctor. He's doctor in traditional Japanese or Oriental medicine. And he has been very, very passionate about water for decades. And he has been studying water for a long, long time. And about 20 years ago, or over 20 years ago, he starts to look like snowflakes, you know, how we have the crystals formed, and he starts to look at more closer to the water. And what he did and what he found out in his studies is that water has the capacity of carrying our feelings in it. So basically what he uses is a high-speed photography, And then he started to look at, he started to get, so what he did is you get the same water for the same source, put it in 2 different containers, and you would send like positive thoughts to one and negative thoughts to the other. And then you would freeze this water, and through a whole process that, you know, better read the book because it will take me a whole 1 hour to explain. Basically, as the water is melting, there is it's a few seconds in there where the water actually creates a crystal, and then it finishes melting. And that moment he takes the picture. And what he found is that good thoughts, he form like brilliant, complex, beautiful crystals. And the one negative thoughts either didn't form the crystals or the crystals were completely asymmetrical. Even the colors were different. On the positive one, you have like bright, beautiful color, and then the others like more reddish, orange, more like darker colors, right? So here he started to talking about it. Now you see how I read 2 books and I'm thinking, oh, that's exactly what's told to André Luiz when he's in the Forest of Waters. That water has the power of carrying our thoughts and our feelings, right? And here's just some samples. Oh, it's missing one. Sorry, it's missing one. Okay, so I have one slide in here than mine that's for some reason it's missing there. I'm not sure why, but one of the ones that he did is the power of praying. Okay, so he got some tap water or a very, very polluted water. Okay, and look what happened here with the very polluted water when he froze, and then he tried to take a picture of the crystals. There's absolutely no crystal formation. And then he prayed over the water, and same water, he melted, right? Then he prayed over the water, he refroze the water, and he took a picture. And look what happened with this water. Look at the amazing, this is absolutely beautiful crystal that it's formed. So look how powerful our thoughts are. Look how powerful our praise are, like praying. It's amazing, extremely powerful. Okay, and he did like and that's the other thing too. He didn't only expose to thoughts. He literally exposed to everything that you can imagine. So he thought, you know what, let me talk to the water. So he started to talk with the water, good things to one, bad things to the other. And then he thought, you know, maybe the intensity or what I've been saying, because maybe this one I'm yelling at the water, and maybe it's the intensity that's what actually making it be worse, right? So he decided, okay, if I just write down. So he wrote down in one paper love, the other one he wrote hate, and then he put it on the waters, leave it there for a few days, freeze those waters, and you will find the same results. The kids, he went to elementary school and he gave 3 waters to the kids. So he said to kids, okay, to this one you guys are only going to say good things to this water. To this one you guys are going to say a lot of bad things. And to this one we're going to ignore. This water doesn't exist, okay? And what he got was a beautiful crystal on the good things, no crystal on the bad things. And the one that got ignored, it's really funny. The crystal almost forms. But if you really look to the image, it's a sad image. It's funny. You can look to the thing and look sad. So, and that to me is very important because, and that's what happened in here. So someone did this, that's what they did. They said good things, ignored, and bad things. So I'm not quite sure how many days after there is, but whatever many days it is, you can see that the good things, the rice is perfect. The ignored one is starting to go bad in here a little. It's not as bad as the one that he said, bad things, which is completely rotten, okay? But it is starting already. And what is this important, this experiment? Remember what he says in the Spiritism, that just not doing the bad is not enough? Because that's what a lot of people think. Oh, I'm a good person because I do not do anything bad to anyone. I'm neutral. I don't do anything good either, but I don't do anything bad to anyone. Is that good enough? No. It is as bad as this one. Absolutely. Is that enough? It's not. So that's what we know in the Spiritism. They just do not do the bad, it's not good enough. We do have to start to do the good, right? If you want to be a rice like this one, okay? And like I said, there's a lot of experiments over the internet. So people put a, I love you, and here you cannot see, but it says, I hate you. This rice has no problem. So they put a rice in water, in a jar, both of them. They locked both of jars, and look what's happening. This is absolutely insane. Okay? And people have done just by writing. Some people did it by talking. Some people did it by thinking. And they all find the same result. I'm actually doing right now with beans. So you know when you were in school, like kindergarten, we put the beans on cotton soaked in water. I'm doing that with the beans right now. So I'll let you guys know what's happening. The one thing that I noticed is that the bad one, it's starting to mold. In terms of growth, they're more or less the same place, but the one that's negative, it's molding. But I want to let go, and then I'll let you guys know what the result is. It's a great experiment to do with kids. Kids are very curious, and it starts to give them the sense of what they tell to their friends at school. The power of words, the power of thought, because that's words are thought. Okay, and then some people did with apple, same apple, just cut it in half, so it's the same apple. Good things, bad things. And it goes on and on and on and on the internet. You can entertain yourself just seeing it. They all get the same result. Okay? And then Masaru Emoto exposed the water to microwave, TV, and cell phone. Right? And all three of them, he got the same result. So he got a water. So first what he got a tap water, exposed to the words of love and gratitude. That's the crystal that he got in. Then he got that same water, heated in the microwave, froze it again, tried to get a crystal, and there's no crystal. Same thing with TV, same thing with cell phones. Okay, just a little bit different shapes here with TV and cell phones, but the results, the idea of the result is exactly the same. Right? It's very scary, isn't it? Yeah. There's actually someone on the internet that decided to test his theory. So for 9 days, this person got 2 plants, which I'm going to guess were the same because I cannot even see what this was. Okay. 2 plants of the same. On the 9th day of watering this one with microwaved water and this one with purified water, look what they found. This is scary, isn't it? Now, showing this, please, please, please do not go home and throw your microwave in the garbage. Okay, don't go home and say, Teresa TSS told me to throw my microwave in the garbage. I'm not saying that, okay? I'm just showing this because I want to show something. I'm going to go back at something again to you guys. Oh, it's missing pictures. Oh, okay. Okay. So, again, going back to, so I'm going to go back to the other one, because since the pictures here are not showing. To the power of praying. So, remember the time, long time ago, when families would gather together at the table and pray before their meals? Should maybe we go back to that time? So we don't need to throw our microwave in the garbage. I understand that our lives are very, very busy. Right? Kids, family, friends, work, school, everything. So we don't need to throw our microwave in the garbage if you don't want to. Okay, that's your own choice. But how about we go back to pray before our meals? Look at the power that praying has. This was a completely polluted water. Okay, look what pray did with it. So isn't that time maybe for us to start praying before our meals? And I'm not talking about staying half an hour praying, because by half an hour, like, you lost everybody in the table, like everybody's hungry. A 30-second meal, a 30-second pray. Dear Lord, thank you for this blessed food that it's in here, right? 30 seconds pray. Look at the power. On the other hand, imagine, right? Because now we know through Nosso Lar and you know through the scientific proofs, okay, that the water, it gets all our mental state, right? It memorizes all your emotions. So imagine I'm eating my food that's full of water, because how do we cook rice and beans? We add water, we hydrate them, right? So now it's full of water. Vegetables, full of water. Fruits, full of water. Everything's full of water. So I'm eating, and I'm so angry because that guy in the office just like did something that I'm so angry, and I'm eating, right? And I'm thinking about the thing that happened, and I'm so mad. I'm eating my own anger. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm eating my own anger. So my mental state's not affecting myself, but it's affecting the food that I'm eating, and I'm eating the food back. So I'm not only projecting negative thoughts to this person, because we are projecting negative thoughts to that person, okay? Who's the first one to be affected by that? It's myself. Summer is coming. What's the first thing that we look when you look into temperatures? How much is going to be the humidity? 40%, 80, 70, right? What's humidity in the air? It's water. So we're contaminating the air that we breathe. We're contaminating the food that you eat. Everything. So maybe meals is time for us to, pray before our meals. And forget a little bit the negative things of the day. So at least we don't eat our own anger. Okay? And Masaru Emoto, he says that the change has to come from inside out. Because he says that he says, for example, when you finish in a marathon, right? You challenge yourself and you finish in a marathon and you run those 42K, and when you finish, you're so happy because you accomplished something, right? You like, I did it, right? He said, if you serve tap water to this person, that tap water is gonna taste amazing. And everybody thinks it tastes amazing. Why? Oh, because I was so thirsty that's why it tastes amazing. No, it is amazing because your energy at that point, it is so positive that whatever you drink at that moment is gonna taste amazing. He said, on the other hand, you can give the most pure water to anybody. If this person inside of them is carrying hate and like all negative thoughts, nothing that you give to them to drink will taste good, because it comes from inside out and not the other way around. So it's not that the water has to be pure to taste good. No, we have to be pure for the water to taste good, because we are the ones who put an impression in the water, right? And his book is extremely interesting. I'm actually going to leave the book after for someone wants to take a look. There's tons of pictures in there, and you guys are going to be like amazed by the pictures that he has in here. And the pictures is still not showing for some reason. Okay. And so here basically I was showing you, there was two pictures here, and one was a tap water from Tokyo, and for 10 days, and was pretty much, there's no crystal formation, and then for 10 days he and some friends from around the world all prayed at noon to that water, right? And then at the bottom should have another picture here, which I can see, but unfortunately you guys cannot, okay? With this beautiful crystal from far away. So don't think that because, you know what, the person that I'm talking about is in Mars, that's not going to get affected, because they will. Okay? Those people were praying to this water from far away, all around the world, and they were all affecting the water. And in fact, he has a second book that I tried to read, I could not understand, because it's pure physics, where he's already now showing scientifically with pure physics how the thought actually goes from one, like, goes distance. I could not understand the first chapter because it's like it's physics to a level that I'm like, but I would love someone loves physics, would love to read and explain to me. I would love it but he's already proving it. So look at how powerful our thought is, that we can affect us, we can affect the whole nature around us, and we can affect your people at far away, right? And remember how he did the test with the microwave? Well, he did with the TV as well. So he got pretty much the same effect, but with the TV, he found out something. That depending on the content of what you were watching, it changes. The crystal actually forms. So if you're watching something with the positive content, the crystal actually forms. So again, am I saying, okay, let's go throw our TVs in the garbage? No. But should we be careful with what we watch? Yes. Should be careful of how much of time we spend in front of the TV? Yes. But most of all, think about our kids. Should we really careful what they're watching? Yes, we should. And you know the concept that we have, they're just a year and a half, so they have no clue what's happening around them. So I'm watching that violent movie and the kids walking around, but they don't understand the movie anyways. They're actually being affected. Right? They are being affected, no matter if they understand or not. Right? Because if I'm being nice here with the child, but in my mind I'm being negative towards him, I'm affecting him. He just doesn't know, but he's being affected. Right? Now imagine in these days we see that in those kids, they're 10, 12, and probably even early age, playing those extremely violent games. What do you think it goes in their minds? Well, I don't even need to guess, because if you watch them playing, they verbalize what they're thinking, right? So you give them a virtual gun and put them in a virtual world where everything is permissible. You can kill, you can shoot, you can do anything. So how do you think is their state of mind? Do you think he looks at the target and saying, "Sir, I'm sorry, I really love you, you're really nice, but I'm gonna have to shoot you," and he shoots? No. In his mind, he's so attracted to that game that he's like, "Die, die, die, die! I want you to kill here, blah, blah, blah." Look what he's creating inside of his mind. So now he not only has the electrical magnetic field from the TV that we know that gives, through Masaru's experiment, we know that affects, right? He now has his own mental state in this extremely violent stage working on himself. So should we be careful with what our kids watch? Absolutely. Should we be careful with the amount of time they spend in front of a TV? Absolutely. Do we need to throw our TVs in the garbage? No. But we should be careful to use it in a proper way, right? And why are we talking about this whole water effect, and effects and everything? Well, can anybody answer this question to me? How much of our body is made of water? Does anybody know? 80%. Yeah, that's actually, they say 60 to 70, but I did find a reference that says 80%. So you're actually not wrong, you're actually correct. Okay? I did find reference that says 80%. 60 to 70% of our body, if not 80%, is made of water. So now, why it's important? How water is affected by our health. Remember, André Luiz was called suicide because his mental state made a disease become an illness. That's the process right there. It's pure water. In fact, Masaru Emoto goes further. And actually, look at this. Look at this as a fetus. How much water we are. So I'm here, pregnant woman, right? And I'm watching the extremely violent program. My fetus is 100%. Actually, Masaru Emoto is 99, which is probably more accurate, but 99 to 100% it really not makes any difference. Okay? It's pure water. And as we are born, we're 80%. As an adult, 70. And even as an elderly, which you know the tendency is first to dehydrate, we still half of us is water. So what Masaru Emoto says is that we spend our life as a water. That's what we are. We are water. As a body, as a physical body, that's what we are. We are water. Mostly that's what we are. And now we know the water is one of the most powerful vehicles for fluid. And it carries every single feelings and everything, emotional state that we have, it's carrying in the water. So remember that kid that was saying that you think it's just a year and a half and it has no clue what's going on TV? 80% water. Does he needs to know what's going on TV to understand what's happening? Okay. Imagine a pregnant woman in an environment that's only fights and negative. Imagine a pregnant woman that has negative thoughts against her own baby. So she doesn't want him. It's an unwanted, like she doesn't want the pregnancy. How do you think the spirit that's already connected is feeling? Receiving all that negative thought. And there's tons of research proving, right? That whatever, if the mother's it's under stress, the baby feels and everything, right? So there's tons of research in there. Look what happened. Look at the baby or a kid that grew up on a negative environment. Completely affected. And don't think it just because they're a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, and they do not understand the fight. They don't have to. Because the mental state that we created in the environment is more than enough to affect them. This is crazy, isn't it? It's very, very serious. This is extremely serious, then, right? So imagine to me when I'm reading Nosso Lar and reading everything about this suicide and his process of how his mental state created this illness and made it worse, his illness. And then I actually had just read a book talking about that and showing this is the scientific proof. I was completely like, this has to be shared. Like I really wanted to talk about it, right? This is very, very serious. And then we have our planet. Does anybody knows how much our planet is made of water? Or how much of our surface is water? Not so much. And again, 70%. So what do we do as a collective to our nature? Remember back in there on Nosso Lar, when Lysias tell André Luiz that the water carries the mental state of every single inhabitant of the home. Our home is Earth. So we know we are in a plan of expiation, which means we are not as good as we think we are. We're on a planet where there's still wars going on, hatred against each other, nations against nations. What are we doing with our nature? And don't forget, we drink in this water. We drink in this water. That's the water that we use for our cooking, drinking, washing, everything. And collective, what are we doing with our nature? So Masaru Emoto says in his book that he truly believes that as a whole population, he truly believes we could transform the planet in a matter of minutes. If we all, if every single person in this planet, for 5 minutes, if we all stopped at the same time and we all vibrated at the same time positive thoughts, we could transform the planet Earth in a matter of minutes. Because collectively we would change completely the water around this planet. Water that's in the oceans, in the rivers, in our food, in our body. So that's what he says. The changes have to come through inside out. So we have to be very, very careful to what we say, to what we think, to what we write down. You know that nasty email that I wrote yesterday? Just because someone did say, oh, I'm going to write it back. And as I'm writing, I'm thinking, right? And then I said, it's just written. I think of all the things that the Masaru Emoto did, the one that most shocked me was the written. Because we have the impression that paper is paper, right? There's no energy in it, right? Because thought, I think we kind of understand more, or words, because we even say that words hurt, right? But I never thought that just written. And then I start to realize, to write down, I have to think. So there is an energy connection to that written word that I just put it in there. And he goes, and his experiences are amazing. Like, he exposed to pictures, to music. It's really bad that one of the slides is not showing, because I had he exposed to words like angel, and then he did classical music, and he did heavy metal music. And I know I need to say the heavy metal music, there's absolutely no, it's not even, it's ugly what's showing there. And then he even did Vivaldi, the Four Seasons. So for each season, there's a different crystal forming. And if you look at the summer, it's really it's summery crystal, and then the winter is like a wintry crystal. It's beautiful. And he did to every single word that you can imagine: love, gratitude, wisdom. And he did it in a different language. So you would say, for instance, thank you. He would say thank you in English, in Japanese, in German, in Italian, and in Spanish. They all got beautiful crystals, but different crystals. So I think depending on the pronunciation, it changes the crystal, but they're all beautiful crystals. So very, very important. What are we doing? Very, very important. Okay. And to me, it was really amazing how it connects with the things that André Luiz learned at Nosso Lar. Very, very important, because that's exactly what he was taught to him, right? He said, when he says, when Earth gives a second thought to water, it starts to understand the importance of water around, we're going to change the world, right? So extremely important. And then, like I said, in the whole process, I was here studying the gospel, right? And then we were, I think I was on chapter 9, which is one of the first chapters. And in one of the parts, and actually it was chapter 9, and he was talking exactly about insults and violence, right? That's what the item 4 on chapter 9 talks about, talking about insults and violence. So basically, Jesus is questioned about a habit that the Hebrews had, that when someone did something wrong that they thought was wrong, they have this habit that they would just turn their face away, spit on the floor, and call this person a fool. You were a fool. Okay? And Jesus then, what Jesus says about that, and I'm going to read because I cannot word better than Jesus, okay? So Jesus goes even further, since he threatens with the fire of hell anyone who says to another person, you fool. But how can a simple word have enough gravity to deserve such a severe reproach? It's because every offensive word expresses a sentiment contrary to the law of love and charity, which should regulate human relations and maintain harmony and unity in them, because such a word is an insult to mutual benevolence and fraternity, because it encourages hatred and animosity. Finally, because after humility toward God, charity toward one's neighbor is the first law of every Christian. So every single word that we say, that we think, we're accountable for. And it is important. Right? Because you say, oh, it's just a word. Like, yeah, you're full. Like, what's the big deal? Right? Well, it is a big deal. It is a big deal because it goes against the laws of love and charity. Right? It is a big deal because it does affect people. It does affect ourselves. It does create, with that word, there is a negative impression that goes with that word that affects not only the person, affects ourselves and affects everything around us. Right? So that's why Jesus says, and of course he's talking about people back in there, so he even says, right, with the fire of hell. Right? So he's just trying to say to people, as though we know as spiritists that hell doesn't exist, but what he tries to say here is that something extremely serious. Extremely serious. Right? And he even goes further. Then on item 9, he goes, if persons would realize that anger does not solve anything, that it affects their health and compromises their life, they would see that they themselves are its primary victim. So I had just read the other 2 books, and I'm reading the gospel, seeing everything that I had just learned in the other 2 previous books. Who is the first one to get affected? It's me, the person who's actually saying the words. Because when I'm creating a negative thought, when I'm saying something negative to someone, I'm contaminating my own body, I'm contaminating the air that I breathe around me, I'm contaminating the food that I'm eating, I'm contaminating everything. And this is the gospel, right? Telling us. Now, the good thing is that we learn, and it has been proved, that there is the power of prayer. There is the power of positive thought that can completely change, right? Because if we can change extremely polluted water from a sewage to a beautiful crystal like Masaru Emoto showed us, we can change. We can change this, the crystals of water in our bodies to something better. So we can change our health. And it's interesting because Masaru Emoto is not a spiritist, but he says, and I believe the way he writes, I believe he's a Buddhist, but he clearly believes in the soul and the spirit. And he says that if you have a health body, most likely you have a health mind. And he says that for a spirit, it's way better, it's way easier to live on a health body. And we know there's a spiritist that's true, right? So if I have a health body, and health body doesn't mean our concept of normal body, right? I could be disabled and have a completely health body because my energy is positive. I could be even actually be fighting an illness, but I have a health body, not in the sense of physical, but mental. And I deal with the patients, and I see that every day. A patient who's going through a major illness that keeps a positive mind, they tend to either to recover faster, or even if they don't recover, their process, their palliative process, tend to be so much easier. Because even through, I don't know if this is going to make sense, but even through the disease, they're still keeping a health body, or a health mind at least. That helps their body to cope with what is happening, right? So it's a cycle. And why this has happened is because we know that when incarnated, we have our spirit, or perispirit, in our body, right? And when we incarnated, they almost like if they were the same thing. They're not, but they're so integrated. They are pretty much the same thing. So if my thought's not good, it definitely is going to affect my perispirit, it's going to affect my body. And if I'm not good with my body, it goes the other way around. So it's a circle. So the best way of taking care of our health is to try to keep a good circle, right? Instead of a negative vicious circle, keeping a good circle around, right? It's extremely, extremely important. So basically what I'm trying to say today is that I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. But what I really wanted to invite everybody here today is to at least be aware of this. And try to be aware of this more and more now, day by day. So maybe for aware, what we can do is let's try to substitute a negative thought by a positive. Right? So that guy was driving and that guy came and cut in front of me, and I like when you catch yourself, switch for a pray. It's just as an exercise, right? Switch for something positive. If anything, try to think, what I'm doing to myself, right? What I'm doing to my health right now here, yelling and calling names or anything, or being angry. What I'm doing to myself. So think about yourself now as a water from now on, okay? What I'm doing to my water in my body. Look at my crystals, okay? If that helps. But let's be really aware of what we're doing to ourselves, and let's try to switch negative thoughts by positive thoughts, because that's a good way of keeping our body health. It's a good way of keeping our health in a better shape, because otherwise when we discarnate we may be called suicides as well, just like André Luiz, right? Because he never thought that he would be accountable for his thoughts. He never thought that, he never even saw himself as a suicide. Remember, he was completely like, you guys crazy? I'm not suicide. So this concept that we have, the suicide is just someone who kills themselves. There's a different way of suicide. Suicide by thought. Imagine someone that carries anger for years and years against someone. Resentment for years and years and years. What they're doing to their health. Today we have many research actually proving that certain types of cancer are related to certain types of emotional states. So I saw research that says that breast cancer is not only related, but it's highly related to feelings of remorse and hate. So women that carry remorse inside them for a long time, or hate, they're more prone to develop breast cancer. How did André Luiz develop his intestinal cancer? By his mental state. That was very clearly stated to him. So the concept that we have, that actually, at least in Brazil, we have this phrase that we say, what the heart doesn't see doesn't feel it. Well, that's a wrong concept. So think that because I'm being nice with someone, just because I have to be nice, but keeping negative thoughts about this person, I'm not affecting this person, because at least they don't know that I don't like them. So I'm being nice, actually, right? That's what I'm doing. I'm being nice because I'm doing my best effort to actually be nice to someone that I do not feel being nice. So I'm thinking I'm being actually good. No, I'm not. Because I'm still affecting this person. The only difference is that if I actually come here and say to someone, I don't like you, or I come here and I say, oh, you're so nice, but actually I'm thinking, no, she's not. The only difference is that in one, she's conscious about it, the other one, she's not. That's the only difference. It's in terms of her being conscious. But in terms of what I'm doing, there's absolutely no difference. I'm affecting this person in a negative way in exactly the same way. And I'm affecting myself in the exact same way. And I'll be accountable for it all along the way. Okay? So that's actually what I wanted today. I wanted to invite everybody to just be aware, right? It's not easy. It is absolutely not easy, and I'm just talking about myself, okay? It's absolutely not easy. But let's just try to make enough effort. Let's just try to be aware and try to do as an exercise. Because I think if we try as an exercise, and even if we really fail at the exercise, just let's keep trying. one day, like, it comes, you know, it will come. Let's do as an exercise. Every time let's substitute a negative thought by a positive thought. Anything. That positive thought can be a prayer, get an image of a beautiful nature, think about a half positive moment that you had in your life. You choose what you want to be your positive thought. But let's try to rebalance the water that we have in our body, because that's very, very important. In all years that Masaru Emoto have studied the water, which is an absolutely passion for him, he, like I said, he exposed the water to absolutely many words that you can possibly imagine, positive and negative. And he says that in all these years that he has studied, the most beautiful crystal that he has seen in his whole entire life is the crystal of love and gratitude, which is pretty much, if you condensed all the laws that Jesus has taught us to follow, that's the main one. We can condense all our laws that Jesus taught us between love and gratitude. So love one another and be grateful to God for absolutely everything that he has given to us. Be grateful to God for the opportunities that he has for us to grow. Be grateful to him for never let us down and never giving up on us, right? Because we're not easy, but he never gives up on us. And love about everything. And look how beautiful this crystal is. It's absolutely amazing. So let's try to be, since we live as a water, right, in this world, let's be a crystal like that, a beautiful creature. It's not easy, but I think if you can get at least like the beginning of a crystal, I think we're doing already good. Okay, thank you very much.
We are a bit past the hour, but we have a few minutes for questions. Any questions?
I saw him.
No problem. We're good. We're good. Where are you going? Questions? Come back here. It's not that easy.
And you're looking there, I'm looking here, so I'm actually...
No problem. Any questions for anybody? Or comments? It's actually a 9 opener for us, isn't it? And as you said very well, Masaru Emoto is certainly not a spiritist. So she started with the spiritist view, what happened with André Luiz, right? And he was considered a suicide. And then, you know, Masaru Emoto as a scientist proved, independent of any philosophy or religion or anything, scientifically, how our thoughts can influence matter, water. And we saw that our body is pretty much water, right? So if we want to transform our health in those around us, it all starts by our thoughts, right? And this is exactly what Spiritism and Jesus taught us, right? When he recommended us to watch and pray. It's not watch your wife or husband, your neighbor, your friend, your boss, your subordinates. Let's watch ourselves, watch our thoughts, what we think, what we say, what we do, right? Because that's the starting point. That's the only thing we can control. We cannot control anyone else but us, right? And the power of prayer. This is a habit that we are trying to develop at home personally, in my house. And it's very challenging to develop and become natural, but it's so important, right? And for those who cook, good cookers or poor cookers like myself, the one thing that we all have to agree is the importance when we are preparing food for yourself or for others, even more critical for others. Let's put good thoughts on this, on the food while we are preparing. No complaining or cursing, right? Rather not to cook them, because it's so critical, right?
We even say in Brazil that, you know, if you cook it in love, it tastes better.
Exactly.
You know, that's actually true.
Scientifically proven.
Basically proven, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Teresa. Appreciate it.
After the final prayer, if anybody, I'm gonna leave here the slide with the other crystals that for some
Great.
reason didn't show, and you guys can take a look. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So today is actually our lunch and learn, so we will not have our passes over here because of the food and everything, and also the time. But we'll certainly do a final prayer. Before I do that, just a quick reminder for everyone that next weekend we'll have here Dr. Lídio Cerqueira from Brazil. He's a psychologist, and he will talk to us on Saturday, 24th, about the spiritual cure of depression. It's a topic important to all of us, from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. If you are interested, put your name on the sign-up sheet over there. And on Sunday, from 11:30 to 3 p.m., so both days are seminars, 4 hours. We'll certainly have a break with some snacks. Existential health and the essence of life. So that will be on Sunday. On July the 6th, we'll have Dr. Haroldo Dutra Dias celebrating the 4 years of the TSS here. July 6th, 12 p.m. So don't miss. Very, very important also. Reminder of our study groups on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And if you are interested to become a member of the TSS or a volunteer, you can talk to myself or Marcio, who is with the kids right now at the end. And with that, I would like to invite you all for a final prayer. And let's all thank Jesus, our beloved Master, for the great opportunity that we had today to learn how the laws that he taught us, transcending beyond any religion or philosophy, are so important to us, so important to our lives on Earth or any other planets around this beautiful universe. Let us all ask protection for the week ahead and blessings to our beloved family members, to our homes, to our friends and neighbors, and to all of those who could not attend our meeting this morning. And bless our lunch and learn, which is about to start. Thank you, and so be it. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great week, and I hope you enjoyed the lunch. Those who are on the internet, I'm sorry you cannot enjoy the lunch unless you come here next time.